Close your eyes for a moment and imagine a world without dollars. No green paper, no credit cards, no digital balance glowing on your screen. Just people trading salt, silver, and promises. Now, imagine one promise, a small piece of paper, slowly becoming the heartbeat of the entire world. How did that happen? How did a currency born from debt and chaos become the most trusted symbol of power on Earth? Tonight, let me take you on a quiet journey, the hidden story of how the US dollar became king. 1. The beginning of chaos. Long before the dollar ruled the world, America was a newborn nation, uncertain, fragile, and poor. It was the late 1700s, and each of the 13 colonies had its own money. Virginia notes couldn't be used in Pennsylvania. New York merchants refused paper from Maryland. There was no united in the United States of money. Traders trusted gold and silver, not paper, because paper could be printed, faked, or simply forgotten. And in those days, trust was wealth. People didn't just buy with money, they traded with belief. 2. The birth of a promise. In 1775, when America went to war for independence, the Continental Congress needed a way to pay soldiers and buy supplies. But there was no central bank, no stable system. So, they printed notes, continental dollars. Beautiful, fragile pieces of paper, promising value, backed by the new nation. But soon, they printed too many. Prices soared. One loaf of bread that cost a few cents became worth dozens of paper notes. The phrase, "not worth a continental," was born, a reminder that paper, without trust, was just dust. The people had learned a painful truth. Money isn't made of ink and fiber. It's made of faith. Number 3. The gold temptation. After independence, the young United States decided to rebuild its financial soul. In 1792, Congress passed the Coinage Act, defining the dollar in terms of gold and silver. $1 was equal to 24 grains of pure gold. Simple, honest. At least that was the idea. But even gold had limits. What if there wasn't enough to go around? How do you build a growing economy with a finite metal? Alexander Hamilton, America's first Treasury Secretary, had an idea. He believed a nation's wealth came not just from what it had, but from what it could promise. He wanted credit, debt, and a national bank, a system built on trust, not treasure. People feared it, but Hamilton knew something others didn't, that confidence could move more mountains than gold ever could.
4. The Quiet Revolution. In 1791, the first Bank of the United States was born. It didn't just hold money, it created it by lending more than it had. For the first time, America discovered the magic of modern banking, that money could be multiplied through promises. This was the seed of the system we live in today. Every loan created new money. Every repayment, a small destruction of it. It was fragile, but alive. And though many feared paper again, the U.S. slowly began to trust its own credit. Still, it wasn't yet the dollar we know. Europe ruled global trade. The British pound sterling was the king of the world. The dollar was just a dream, waiting for its empire to wake.
5.
the Civil War, and the greenbacks. Then came 1861, the Civil War. The nation was divided. The government was broke. To pay for war, President Lincoln did something radical. He printed money without gold backing. They called them greenbacks, the first true fiat currency in America. People were furious. Bankers called it madness. But soldiers needed to be paid. Suppliers needed to be funded. And somehow, it worked. Those green slips of paper held the country together through chaos. And when the war ended, the greenback became more than paper. It became a symbol of survival. Trust had begun to shift from metal to government, from gold to belief in the nation itself.
6. The Age of Expansion. As decades passed, America grew. Railroads, factories, industries booming. But its financial system remained unstable. Banks collapsed often. Panics were frequent. By the early 1900s, the U.S. economy was too big to run on scattered private banks and luck. A new kind of central control was needed, something powerful, invisible, and steady. In 1913, behind closed doors on a quiet island called Jekyll Island, a group of bankers and politicians met in secret. What they created would shape the future of global money, the Federal Reserve System. It was designed to protect the economy, stabilize banks, and control the money supply. But in truth, it quietly changed the definition of money itself. From now on, dollars would no longer need gold. They'd need faith in the Federal Reserve. And once again, America's money was reborn through belief.
7. The first global test. Then came the Great Depression of the 1930s. Banks failed. People lost everything. Fear spread faster than news. President Franklin D. Roosevelt made a stunning decision. He banned private ownership of gold. Americans were forced to turn in their gold coins and certificates to the government. In exchange, they got paper dollars. It was controversial, but the message was clear. The gold belongs to the nation. The dollar belongs to you. And slowly, painfully, trust began to rebuild. By the end of World War II, the United States was the richest country on Earth. It held 3/4 of the world's gold. Factories were booming, and a quiet conference in 1944 in a place called Bretton Woods sealed the dollar's destiny. At Bretton Woods, the world's leaders made a promise. Every currency would be tied to the US dollar, and the dollar would be tied to gold. But promises, as history shows, are fragile, because soon the world would ask for its gold back, and America would have to choose between truth and trust.
Part 2. They say trust is the most valuable currency in the world. But what happens when even trust runs out? In 1944, the world had promised to believe in the US dollar. But promises, like gold, can melt under pressure.
This is how the dollar faced its greatest test and how it didn't just survive, it conquered. 1. The world after war. When World War II ended, the United States stood untouched. Its cities were safe, its industries booming, its vaults filled with gold. Europe lay in ruins. Japan was rebuilding. So at Bretton Woods, the world made a choice: tie every currency to the US dollar and the dollar to gold at $35 per ounce. It was a simple, elegant system. If you held dollars, you could exchange them for gold anytime. The dollar was as good as gold, the symbol of safety, stability, and strength. For a time, it worked beautifully. Nations trusted the United States. Trade flowed. The dollar spread across oceans, quietly becoming the world's financial bloodstream. But slowly, the system began to crack.
2. The seeds of doubt. The 1950s and 60s were years of growth, but also of spending. America was everywhere, rebuilding Europe, funding wars, supporting allies, expanding dreams. Dollars flowed out of America like water. Gold did not. By the mid-1960s, foreign countries, especially France, began to worry. They saw America printing more dollars than its gold could cover. So, they started asking, "Can we have our gold back, please?" Ships literally sailed from New York to Europe, loaded with gold bars. The U.S. gold reserves began to shrink. The world was losing faith, not in the dollar's paper, but in the promise behind it. 3. The breaking point. By 1971, America faced a hard truth. There were more dollars in the world than gold in its vaults. President Richard Nixon stood at the crossroads of history. If he honored the gold promise, the U.S. would lose its treasure. If he broke it, the world's trust would collapse. On a quiet Sunday evening, August 15, 1971, Nixon went on television and announced something that would change money forever. "I have directed the Secretary of the Treasury to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold." Temporarily became forever. The gold window was closed. The dollar was no longer backed by gold, only by faith. The Bretton Woods system was dead, but strangely, the world didn't end. The dollar didn't collapse. Instead, something unexpected happened. The dollar became stronger. 4. The birth of the petrodollar. Without gold, the dollar needed a new anchor, something the world couldn't live without. And in the 1970s, that thing was oil. In 1974, a secret agreement was made between the United States and Saudi Arabia. The deal was simple but powerful.
Saudi Arabia would sell its oil only in US dollars, and in return, America would protect the kingdom and its oil trade. Soon, other OPEC nations followed. From that moment, if any country wanted to buy oil, they needed dollars. And just like that, the petrodollar was born. Oil became the new gold. Every nation needed dollars to keep their lights on, their cars running, their economies alive. So they bought dollars, stored dollars, traded in dollars. The dollar was no longer just a currency. It was the world's ticket to energy. 5. The age of global power. As oil ruled the world, the U.S. ruled the dollar. Countries began to buy U.S. bonds, lending money to America in exchange for safety. In return, the U.S. printed more dollars, exporting inflation, importing goods. The world's economies became like satellites, orbiting around the American sun. Even when crises came, the dollar remained the safe haven. 1987 stock crash, 1997 Asian crisis, 2008 global meltdown. Each time the world panicked, investors ran toward the dollar, not away. Because deep down, the dollar wasn't just paper. It was trust wrapped in power.
6. The digital era. Then came the computers, the internet, and the rise of digital money. The dollar quietly transformed again, this time into data. It flowed through screens, apps, algorithms, and stock exchanges, faster than ever before. It was no longer bound by borders, banks, or even cash. And yet, the greenback remained the language of global trade. Whether you bought coffee in Brazil, oil in Saudi Arabia, or chips in China, somewhere in the transaction, the dollar was there. The world's digital veins pulsed with American code and American currency.
7. The calm before tomorrow. But the story isn't over. Because every empire, every currency, every system of trust eventually faces a question: what comes next? Today, new challengers rise. Digital currencies, crypto, even central bank tokens. Nations whisper about de-dollarization. But for now, the dollar still sits on the throne, quietly, confidently. Its paper replaced by pixels. Its gold replaced by belief. And perhaps that's what money always was. Not metal, not numbers, but a story we all agreed to believe. So tonight, as you drift to sleep,
Remember this. The US dollar didn't become king because it was the strongest. It became king because the world chose to believe it was. And belief, after all, is the most powerful currency of all.